devil. I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V-I, I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V-I, I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V, I'm the D-E-V-I-L. I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V-I, I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V-I, I'm the D-E, I'm the D-E-V, I'm the D-E-V-I-L, the devil.
What is going on, everybody, and welcome back. Welcome back to another fun-filled episode of The Final Word with MattyB here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network, live from Central Alabama as our crusade continues. It's great to be back. I know I was supposed to be on last night, but time ran really long yesterday for me, so I couldn't get back here in time in order to do the show. But here I am tonight to try to make up for that, and that's why I'm sticking with the title of a late night hook, or not, I should say a hookup or a late night meetup as the title for the show. It was supposed to be for last night because I was going to come on later, but later became impossible as I didn't get off the field till late. By the time I got back here and got settled in, it was way too late, so I decided not to do an episode. But fear not, because I'm back tonight. And unfortunately, I got bad news. I'm back tonight for the final episode of the week because tomorrow I got games throughout the entire day as well, and it's going to be another late night, so I'm not going to get back in time in order to be on the air tomorrow. So we're going to end with the episode tonight, but fear not as well, because I'll be back on Sunday, and we'll continue, as I said, to try to keep this as normal as possible. We're working through some tough times. We're working through some difficult times, technologically speaking, logistically speaking, and all those other things. But we're going to keep rolling here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network. And it's great to be back here for another final word with you, the final word of the week, it turns out. So tonight on the program, to make up for last night, we got our day in Philadelphia sports history. We're going to do a little bit of a Flyers check-in because I've been delinquent. Flyers have played 2 hockey games, and I really haven't had an opportunity to sit down and talk about them. And they've won those 2 hockey games by pretty resounding scores, 6-3, 6-1. Have outscored the 2 opponents in those games by a final of 12-4, and that's very encouraging for this young hockey team. And with the trade deadline approaching, what does that mean? And how does that affect the Flyers? So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Might also throw in my Four Nations tidbit because I never got a chance really to comment on the Four Nations. And we're going to do some Phillies check-in as well. Spring training is running rampant. It's been really, really great to be able to sit down and watch Phillies baseball again, even though it's exhibition to watch today against the Blue Jays, yesterday against the Rays. Really been enjoying seeing the Phillies, and really been enjoying by seeing a few players as they are trying to make their way into the 2025 Phillies. As the question of what this team will be in 2025 begins to take shape over the next few weeks down in Clearwater. And today, here in Alabama, it was 76 degrees outside. It's for me. I was walking around and I could not believe it, doing some things, kind of catching up on some things. 76 degrees. This is what it must feel like in Florida to play baseball in February. And then last night in my early game, I worked the game in a short sleeve shirt in February. So just an amazing opportunity to be here and work baseball during this time of the year and this weather. So we're going to get into some Phillies tonight. We're also going to reveal. I said I wasn't going to do this till I got back home, but I'm going to. I was able to kind of get the technology working for me, and we're going to reveal my all-time Flyers 4th line. Yes, we are going to resume that, and I am going to reveal my all-time Flyers 4th line tonight. Again, as I said, I was not going to do it until I got home, but I said, the heck with it. Started tinkering around with some things today, and I was able to figure it out. So we will do that. We have our other night segment as well tonight, and we'll double hit that one as well. So again, trying to keep things as normal as possible through this very trying time for me. But buckle up. Yep. Strap in. Keep your hands and your feet inside the car at all times, and let's go with your day in Philadelphia sports history. On this illustrious February 26th, we got to go back to the ripe year 1968. And this actually has sort of some recent ties to it. Over the weekend, the last weekend, with the Catholic League Championship in Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Catholic League Championship, the PCL, whatever they call it, was able to kind of wrap up their tournament. And the Father Judge Crusaders, my alma mater, Judge 91 here, was able to take the PCL title for the first time since 1998. Congratulations, Crusaders. But this is a little bit more remarkable than that, even though Judge was not necessarily – Judge has got some shooters on that team, the current model. But back in 1968, it's a PCL nugget of information. North Catholic, their entire varsity squad was benched by their head coach for cutting class. So again, something that it does not exist today existed in 1968, and that's, of course, accountability. When the head coach has got the stones to bench his entire team, getting ready for the publicly or the Philadelphia Catholic League Championship tournament, he benches his entire varsity squad. Says, I don't care, PCL or not, you cut class, you ain't playing basketball. So he benches the entire varsity team. He calls up the JV, and he brings the JV to the PCL. This guy's name was Jack Friel, the head coach of North Catholic. They go to the tournament. They roll Bishop McDevitt 77-60 in the quarterfinals. And in that game against Bishop McDevitt, the current JV squad that did that to the varsity managed to split with McDevitt's JV throughout the regular season. But now they did not win the championship. But the fact that they were able to win the quarterfinals and advance into the semis with their JV squad leading the way, it made national headlines. It became a story of inspiration, and a story that, to be honest with you, is something that does not exist in this day and age. And that's, again, accountability, of holding players accountable for their actions and benching your entire varsity team and taking your JV team to a tournament and saying, you know what, I don't care if we win or lose, we're gonna play by the rules. And to North Catholic's benefit, it worked for the quarterfinal game against Bishop McDevitt, but they did not win the finals. But the story made national news. So on this day in 1968, the North Catholic, what the hell they call it? What's North Catholic's thing? I don't even know what they are. But they benched their varsity team, and their JV beats Bishop McDevitt 77-60 in the PCL quarterfinal. So there you go. Your nugget of information on this day in 1968. Brought to you by the fine folks here over at the It's O-Rap Sports Network, and doing all the hard work for you so that you can stay informed. And let's go into some of the comments. No, I will not make my bed. You cannot make me. I am 1,000 miles away from you. You're going to have to deal with it. Yeah, that's right. I went into a big story about this the other night. I do not like making my bed. I am not a big bed maker. I will stay with this bed in this configuration until I leave. So leave me alone. You can't do nothing about it. So there you have it. It's my wife, my uppity wife, checking in. All right. So let's start our fun-filled journeys tonight with the Philadelphia Flyers, because I feel sort of like they've been left out recently in my own sports conversation. I haven't really had the opportunity. Of course, the Four Nations 2-week break doesn't help things. But with the start of the baseball season and the Eagles winning the Super Bowl and all the other things going on, the Flyers have kind of taken a back seat. So let's push them up to the front seat, shall we? So coming off the Four Nations, and by the way, the Four Nations tournament, Team USA lost to Team Canada was it last Thursday night in overtime, failing to capture the gold medal. They were medals, so I saw that too. And thus kind of ending a magical ride for not only USA hockey in general, and of course the embarrassing the NBA and the way they conducted their All-Star game and stuff like that. So kudos across the board, and I echo the sentiments of everybody else when it comes to the Four Nations. I think it was a great thing. But let's remember why they're doing the Four Nations, or why they did the Four Nations this year. It was sort of a whet your appetite, not to necessarily change the All-Star game. That's not what the reasoning behind the Four Nations tournament was this year. It was an opportunity to whet your appetite for next year, which is the Olympics, and that the NHL is returning to Olympic play starting in 2026. So they wanted to do the Four Nations. And I remember last year at the All-Star break when they announced what they were doing. And it was explained to me just that way. It was to sort of kind of whet people's appetite, not for the changing of an All-Star game, but for the 2026 Winter Olympics. So now, did the NHL let Pandora out the box by doing something like this? And now are they going to be bound by perhaps a Four Nations like tournament going forward? I don't know. They've done this before in All-Star games. They've had North America versus the world. They had USA versus the world. They've done this type of format before, but of course never in a tournament format. But it was done in order to kind of get people excited about the fact that the NHL is returning to the Olympics. But it was a great success, regardless of why it was done. It was a great success, and Team USA made a run to the finals, losing to Canada in overtime. So kudos to Team USA, kudos to the NHL, and kudos to the Four Nations. Now, as far as the Flyers go, resuming action on Saturday, the Flyers went out and beat pretty resoundingly the Edmonton Oilers in a game where they were down. They came back. They tied it. They took the lead, and they held on. Not a great game goaltending-wise, but a great game defensively and a pretty good game offensively. Scored 6 goals against the defending Western Conference champs. And then they followed that up last night with a 6-1 trouncing over the pitiful Pittsburgh Penguins, who were definitely on their way down. And another thing, as I just remembered this, kudos to Mike Laro, by the way. Welcome back, Mike. Mike did his it's the Clear the Ice show last night, the Flyers postgame show. So I want to thank Mike for an outstanding job. It was like he never left. So Mike is back in the forefront with that. But they beat a pretty lifeless Penguins team 6-1 last night. So now they've won 2 games. They're back at 500, 27, 27, and 7, I believe. And they find themselves about 5 points outside of a playoff spot a week before the trade deadline. And here we are in a position that a lot of us thought we'd be in again. And a lot of us thought that a lot of us are wondering, not thinking, but wondering what the direction of the team is going to be this time. Last year it was trade. They were the 6th seeded team in the Eastern Conference last year at the trade deadline, and they traded Sean Walker. Coming into this trade deadline, they're not in the playoff position. They're not in a playoff position, but they're right outside of one. Does that mean, do you think things are going to be different this year? Do you think Danny B and Keith Jones are going to go a different direction in how they handle this year's trade deadline? And I know a lot of fans out there are wondering, or they're not wondering, but want the opportunity to have this team taste some playoff experience. And but what is that taste? What is the cost of that taste? And that's what I think the question is. I think we have to kind of look at this thing holistically. And I remember when Keith Jones took over the position, and Danny B, they were very transparent about a lot of things. And one of the things they were transparent was they're not interested in being a fringe playoff team. They're not interested in being an 8th seed, fighting for an 8th seed, 7th seed. They don't want to be one of those teams year in and year out that are fighting to get into the playoffs. They want to be a perennial playoff team, because obviously that's the team that's going to go in and make a run. These fringe teams that are, scrappy battlers that turn it on at the end, make moves, but those moves sometimes do not benefit the team long term. They benefit them for the short term in terms of getting them into the playoffs, but they're not necessarily good enough to make a run. Now, anybody can be good enough to make a run because I've seen it happen over and over again. St. Louis Blues are a perfect example of that. But what Danny B and what Keith Jones want to do is they want to create a perennial Stanley Cup contender, not a fringe playoff team. So I don't think that this trade deadline is going to be anything but the same as last year's. And I would be actually upset if we were sellers or if we were buyers at this trade deadline, because we're in a worse position than we were last year and we were sellers. So I highly anticipate the Flyers to continue to sell, grab assets, grab capital to try to create the overall intent here is to win a Stanley Cup. And, I know that doesn't necessarily a popular opinion, and I know a lot of people have issues with that. A lot of people want them to be a playoff team to experience the playoffs, but I mentioned the cost of that. The cost of that is like 10 draft positions. That's a heavy cost to go when you're still trying to be a better team, because they need to be better on a lot of different fronts. And you're going to sacrifice 10 draft positions in your goal to get better just to go to the playoffs. That sounds a little selfish to me. So I don't anticipate the Flyers to be anything more but sellers again this year. And I know there's an opportunity to move off a few more contracts to get their cap positioning a little bit better. And as we move forward into the end of the season, I want to get into some of the salary cap is becoming an interesting topic right now. Currently, the 14th most cap room left in the NHL heading into next summer are the Flyers, so about middle of the road. That position is going to improve when they drop Cal Peterson's $5 million, when they drop Kuzmenko's $5 million. That position is going to improve a little bit more, and they could find themselves in the top 10 or top 5 of most cap room. But the question now is going to be, do you go out and sign a free agent next summer just to sign a free agent? Because I don't know if you've looked, the centermen and the defenders that are coming into the free agent class of centers is not that stout. It's old. There's a lot of old players, a lot of good players, but way past their prime players. So I don't necessarily know if you're going to take that money this year and spend it on a free agent, or if you continue to roll that money over maybe into next year. And we're going to take a deeper dive into, because the free agent class of 2026 is slightly better than the one in 2025. So there's a lot of factors that kind of come into also using that money free agent wise. But the Flyers are continuing to build assets. They're continuing to get better with the salary cap situation. So I don't think that things are going to change. And I would be surprised if they did change. But 2 wins in a row coming out the All-Star break, back to 500, back in the playoff conversation. And with the trade deadline about a week away, what is it, March 7th? Yeah, tomorrow will be a week, right? A week away from tomorrow. We'll find out where the Flyers think that they are and how they view their potential playoff positioning in 2025. So kudos out to the Flyers for not rolling it up and turtling up. They're fighting their way through it. I definitely got to give them a lot of credit. As far as your baseball team goes, well, it's spring training action galore down there in Clearwater. Phillies 2-2. Is anybody really paying attention? But some players are definitely making their names known. Some players that I actually was not considering. Racones, Gabriel Racones Jr., a player that we've talked about on this program. We've highlighted him on the Down on the Farm segment. He is definitely one of the highly touted young prospects that the Phillies do have. Had a home run today. He's got 2 homers on the spring, getting an extended look. Interesting that they're giving him a big look. They're giving him more of a look, I think they are, than they're giving Justin Crawford at this particular moment in time, which is pretty interesting. But he continues to sort of flash. The regulars played today for a pretty good period of time. Harper got beamed at one point, hit off his hand. Apparently he's okay, though. Doesn't seem to be anything serious. But pitching has been pretty good. When we've seen the pitchers, Christopher Sanchez, I believe, pitched a little today. That was either today or yesterday. I'm not really. It might have been yesterday, but he pitched well when he did pitch. I remember watching it. I just don't remember if it was today or yesterday. And the team seems to be, they're kind of rounding or kind of getting their rust off of them as they fight through the early part of spring training. And questions, of course, about what this team is going to look like in 2025 are going to persist until we get to the actual opening day. And we see how the team comes out. But, if I want to make a comment about this part of spring training, it ain't to me about this regular season at this point. It has nothing to do with the regular season. I don't care about the regular season. We're a month away from that. But what this represents to me, it's the start of it. It's the start of baseball. It's the start. It's the fact that from this period or this moment on, matter of fact, from last Thursday, which was when the Cubs and the Dodgers kicked it all off. So from last Thursday, so potentially, depending on how much of a diehard baseball fan you are, because there's the Arizona Fall League in November that people watch. But so from last Thursday to sometime right before Thanksgiving, we have nonstop baseball. And that's definitely a great thing. And and I've said this, I think, on a show last week. It's a prelude it's a way that I get up in the morning. It's a way that I set my calendar. And, the start of spring training means that the opening day of baseball is coming. Then you can't get to the opening day. I can't get to summer or I can't get to Christmas without getting to the opening day of baseball. Can't get to Christmas without getting to the start of summer. I mean, it to me is a series of dominoes that fall, and baseball seems to be a big part of those dominoes. And it's great to be in that sense where I can turn baseball on at any moment and any time and watch live baseball or almost live baseball through certain streaming services that we're into the 2025 baseball season, and that I'm personally into the 2025 baseball season. So it's a great time of the year, early season stuff, but it's definitely a great time of the year to see Major League Baseball back, to see college baseball back, and then depending on where you are in the country, it's the high school baseball back. So enjoying every minute of it. And it's only going to get better from here as we continue to knock off that rust and move forward. And as we do move forward through the baseball season, or as we get closer to the start of the baseball season, the Fighting's Final will be back at some point over the next, I would have to say, within the next 3 weeks, with our 2025 Phillies preview show. We'll break down what we think the Phillies are going to be in 2025 and how they're going to get there. So be on the lookout for that. Coming soon to a social media platform or internet streaming platform like YouTube soon. But okay, so let's continue on with this and using baseball as my theme. Let's move into our Of the Night segment, and let's get Up the Night going again. We're going to double it up this week double it up tonight because we did not have a show last night. So let's go with Of the Night. Yep, this is the Other Night segment. This is part of the show where we take a Phillies prospect, a Flyers prospect, a Phillies draft target, a Flyers draft target, spotlight a Phillies or a Flyers player, and we just sort of kick them around and kick the tires around and see where they're at. We're going to stay with the Phillies, and we're going to continue on with the Spotlight series, as we've been really kind of hitting that hard, trying to get through it before the start of the season. Tonight, we're going to spotlight Phillies right-hand pitcher, number 2 in the rotation, Mr. Aaron Nola. As the team goes, so does, or as Nola goes, and it seems as Nola and Wheeler go, it seems as this team will go. Definitely part of the front end dominance of this rotation. Part of the rotation that doesn't have a question mark, if you ask me. Nola, who signed the big contract extension last offseason, thus pretty much locking himself up as a Philly for the rest of his career. Appeared in 33 games last season, had a 3.57 ERA, not a 0.357 ERA, but a 3.57 ERA. Just 3 strikeouts shy of 200 for the season at 197. Only walked 14 games, had a 14-game win season. But the one bugaboo in Aaron Nola, there's a couple bugaboos on him, but the one main one that I have an issue with is the home runs. He did give up 30 more home runs in 2024 as he was part of that second half pitching meltdown when it came to giving up home runs. But, you know, looking at Aaron Nola from all different aspects of Aaron Nola, you know, I was definitely on board with the contract extension. Is Aaron Nola ever going to be an ace? Probably not, right? But when you have Zach Wheeler, you don't really need Aaron Nola. And who knows? Maybe he does figure that ace part of his game out. He's not that far off from it. But the thing is with Zach Wheeler, you know, a bad Zach Wheeler performance is still better than about 98% of the pitchers out there on a given day. A bad Aaron Nola performance, you know, that's pretty, you know, that's pretty common. When Nola's bad, he's really bad. So that is the part of it that truly locks him out of being an ace, in my opinion. But to have him as number 2 in the rotation, you really can't ask for anything better than that, especially when he's behind Zach Wheeler. And he will be part of the reason why I guess a lot of people are looking at the Phillies pitching staff in 2025 as a dominant pitching staff. I don't see it. I see 1 and 2 dominant, but I have question marks about everybody else. But here you go. Our Phillies spotlight player of the night tonight, Phillies ace-like starter, Aaron Nola. And as he gets ready for another season with the Phillies. And I truly believe that, though, with Nola. You know, is he an ace? Maybe not by the textbook definition of an ace, because, as I said, with Wheeler, when Wheeler has a bad performance, it's still better than 98% of the pitchers in the major leagues. When Nola has a bad performance, he's got a bad. It's a bad performance. It's pretty god awful, and that's the only thing lacking if you want to talk about Aaron Nola not being an ace. But there you have it. So that was part 1 of the night. Let's get on with part 2. We're staying in baseball, and we're going into the baseball draft. 2025 MLB draft prospect Nolan Schubart, outfielder of Oklahoma State. Schubart is more than a one-tool guy, but he's not. But that one tool is prodigious left-handed power that has resulted in 40 homers and an elite exit velocity in his 2 collegiate seasons. He can swing. His swing can get long and uphill, leading to contact issues. Great. And below average speed and arm strength will limit him to left field or first base. I think, didn't we just talk about somebody like that just recently? He sounded like the other guy, too. Seems to be some problems defensively, but it seems to be this kid's hitting is prolific enough to put him into a draft conversation. Lower first round, I see him definitely maybe going to a team that has the time to develop a power hitter and has the time to kind of hand carry a power hitter through the system and try to make him into a Major League Baseball power hitter. Don't see him as a top 5 help, immediately type player, but back-to-back 40 home runs at Division I. You can't really shake a stick at that. You cannot not see that. So there's definitely room in the major leagues for Nolan Schubart with somebody. And at 26, where the Phillies are picking, you know what? There's a possibility that he'll be available down there. So there you have it. Tonight's MLB 2025 MLB draft prospect, Nolan Schubart of the Oklahoma State Cowboys. As we are getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the MLB draft and, trying to get we are going to do the MLB draft in 2000. We're going to do the first round like we did last year. I don't know the format of it. I don't know how I'm going to do it or who's going to do it with me, but it will be done in July. We will do the draft and we'll have a draft show. We're also going to be doing the hockey draft, and we may be possibly doing other drafts too. Stand by for that. But let's move back into hockey. I should have probably done this when I segued away from the Flyers, but let's move back in. About a week and a half ago, I started coming off of the Phillies all-time roster exercise that we did, or experiment we did here on the program. I said, you know what? I was going to do the Flyers too. I was going to talk about my all-time Flyers roster. And I got through my first 3 lines of my all-time Flyers roster. I put them on lines. We were up to line number 4. Let's remind everybody of the previous lines. My all-time favorite Philadelphia Flyer roster, or Philadelphia Flyer line, is the LCB line. Now, no, these lines don't have to be players that played together. This line just happens to be players that played together because they were the most dominant line in Flyer history. I can't move Bill Barber off this line into another line. I can't move Bobby Clark deeper down into the lines and put him as a center on the third line. I can't do that. And I can't move McLeish either. I mean, these are Reggie Leach. They belong there because they are the most dominant line in Flyer history, and they just so happen to play together in their career here. So, but no, you do not have to have played together to be an actual. This is not actual lines. These are how I see players as they spent time in Philadelphia, and what line I would put these players on if I had access to these guys at the prime of their career. So there was my number one line. Here's my all-time number two line. You got Leclerc on the left, Lindros, and Giroux on the right. That would be my number two all-time Flyers line, as I think that when you have the LCB line coming at you with the finesse and the speed, and then you change pace on them with the Legion of Doom minus Michael Renberg, I think that would be really a daunting task for a lot of teams to put up with. So, but it's going to get more daunting as we get ready to reveal our third overall line, because here's line number three. It's the Brian Propp, Mark Recchi, and Rick McLeish line. So, again, I'm going to follow up a pounding, bruising line with a line full of snipers who can play in front of the net as well when they need to, with quick hands and speed. So I'm going back and forth, and I'm kind of going with in that sort of that trajectory. So that leads me up to my number 4 overall Flyers line. If I was to be able to put together a team from the greatest Flyers of the past, this is who my 4th overall line would be. It's Rick Tocchet on the left, Rod Brind'Amour in the middle, and Tim Kerr on the right side. This line would be one of the more physical, bruising, lines that the Flyers, that anybody would have to. There was no 4th line in hockey that could even come close to these guys, because these guys can also score. Tim Kerr, plus 50 goal seasons, 4 straight years for the Flyers. What was Tocchet's overall numbers? We'll go over the numbers right now. Tocchet played 605 games for the Flyers, 229 goals, 276 assists for 505 points in 11 seasons with the Flyers. Brind'Amour, 633 games played, 235 goals, 398 assists for 633 points in 9 seasons with the Flyers. And in an injury-shortened career with the Flyers, Tim Kerr, 601 games, 367 goals, 287 assists for 654 points in 11 years with the Flyers, or 11 seasons with the Flyers. That, to me, is my overall 4th best line on my all-time Flyers team. And relegating players like Tocchet, Brind'Amour, and Kerr to the 4th line is a testament to the skill and offense and power of my top 3 lines. But it's also a testament to the balance that this team would have in a night-to-night operation. So there you go. That's it. Our 4 lines have been revealed. But now tomorrow, or I should say Sunday when I'm back, we will debut our first pairing of defensemen, as we will go through 3 defensive pairings and 2 more goalies and a head coach before we finish up this. So there you go. I've now revealed my 4 all-time MattyB's 4 all-time Flyer lines, with the revelation of line 4, Rick Tocchet on the left, Rod Brind'Amour in the middle, and Tim Kerr on the right. Talk about a bruising line. Talk about a line that would just live in front of the net, and not one thing another team could do about it. That's just absolutely amazing. It would be a beautiful thing to see that and witness that on a night-to-night basis. So. But there you go. I'm enjoying doing that, man. I've been having a lot of fun with that over the last few weeks. So that's just pretty much going to take me right to the end. Again, kind of quiet, as we kind of wait for the calm before the storm with the Eagles. They're down in the combine, and Howie Roseman's speaking, and Nick Sirianni's speaking, and what have you. I think Howie's setting people up for not a auspicious offseason. I think he's also setting people up for the fact that they're going to lose a lot of players in free agency. But of course, with the blind allegiance to Howie Roseman because he's won 2 Super Bowls. And how can I actually sit here and argue that, though? That's where I'm finding a hard time. I'm finding a hard time arguing that. 2 Super Bowl championships are hard to argue. So the Eagles will get ready to reveal their or start free agency in a couple weeks, and then there'll be draft talk, and then before you know it, it's OTAs and spring training or camp, and then preseason, and we're back into another football season. But again, and that's what's so great about this time of the year, because you can't get to football season without first getting through baseball season. Remember that. So it's all relative, man. It all blends and it all flows together. But there you are. There is, and again, I'm sorry for last night. I had all the intentions of the world of coming on, but I did not get back from the fields till too late, and it was hard to, I hadn't eaten and all that, so I didn't want to. And don't forget, I'm an hour behind you guys too, so that also made it a little difficult for me to want to go on the air. But I did come back tonight, and I will be back on Sunday night as we will start our broadcast week again. But no show tomorrow, as I will be at a baseball tournament, and my last game tomorrow is at 8 o'clock. So I won't be getting off the field till 10 o'clock my time, which is 11 o'clock yours. So no show tomorrow night. But yeah, we'll be back on Sunday. And of course, all the other programming here on the network, as Clear the Ice will be back tomorrow night. Flyers Penguins are going to be a thing tomorrow night, as they'll finish their home and home. Flyers Penguins. So let's I think Sal has you tomorrow night. Let's put it up here. Yep, Sal will take you tomorrow night on the Flyer Penguins on our final episode of Clear the Ice for the weekend, and then I'll be putting out the new graphic for next week's Clear the Ice here probably in the next couple of days. So we'll get you covered there. And as I mentioned, the Fighting's Final is in its pre-production phase right now. We've assembled the crew. We've begun preliminary discussions. We're going to change some things, make some things better from last year. We're going to build upon the success of the Broad Street Bottom Line segment, the Round the Bases segment, the Down on the Phillies Farm segment. We're going to change some things. We're going to add on, maybe subtract some stuff as well. Sorry about that. But we're in pre-production with that right now, so we're getting ready to start firing up that the old Fighting Final machine. And big news coming here on the It's a Wrap Sports Network in the very near future, as we are closing in on a couple of new shows that are going to be returning or coming to the network here relatively soon. I'm not going to tell you what they are, who they are involved in, but we're growing, and we're trying to bring in some people and some shows back. Again, I don't want to say back, but we're trying to bring some shows to the network that we know were successful. And yes, they're older. They're shows from the past. I'll just leave it at that. But we're going to be bringing 2 of them back here very soon. Again, more of an announcement to come later on about who and what that entails. And again, just looking forward to the great things that we got coming up on the network. And it's been great up to this point for the 4 months that we've been doing it. And now we're starting to move into a different phase. So make sure you're liking, subscribing, sharing, smashing bells, subscribing, and all those things for us on all those social media platforms, because we really need it as we're trying to grow. And that's pretty much going to wrap me up here, folks. Going to take the rest of the night and just kind of chill. It was a weird week for me. I'm not going to lie, man. It feels like I haven't stopped running since last Thursday. And here I sit, but it's funny how life goes. And, you don't necessarily, and we'll leave you with this, leave a little bit of MattyB philosophy with MattyB. You don't succeed in everything you do in life, and that's understood, but a lot of times people don't succeed because they don't try, right? A lot of times people don't succeed because they just don't want to give it. It doesn't seem possible. It doesn't seem relevant. It doesn't seem feasible. So they don't even bother trying, and they let it go, and they never know what could have been. And sometimes you go after something and it doesn't work and you fail at it, but you can always learn from that. But, as I sit here in Alabama, and trust me, going to Alabama in 2025 was not on my bingo card. And I'm only going to be down here for a few more weeks. And this will be a drop in the bucket of time for me once I get back home. But this could be the beginning of something special. This could be the beginning of a new adventure for me on a yearly type basis, seeing how things work out down here. Or it couldn't be. It could be the end. This could be a one-shot deal. And, hey, I did it. And that's that. But at least I know because I tried. And if there's something out there in your life that you want to go after, just do it, man. Don't even, who cares? Just go after it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it works, it does. But at least you'll know. Don't ever, just go after it. And let the chips fall where they may. Because it's hard. I know at times it's hard. But you'll feel a lot better knowing that you tried and that you failed than not trying. So that's how I see it. It's MattyB's philosophy. You can't get this anywhere, and you're getting it for free. You should be extremely impressed by that. But that's going to wrap me up for the night. I'm going to leave you on that. And I wish you guys a great rest of your night, a great tomorrow, a great weekend. And again, we will not be back tomorrow, but we will be back on Sunday night. So until Sunday, you guys take care, and I'll be seeing you.